Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for my TikTok people to turn up. I'm predominantly on TikTok. Hello, Mariah. Hello, MN2. Don't know what that means. Anyway, while we're waiting, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? I was watching that news about the Maui fires. Jeez, it's almost hard to believe. The videos that I saw were the ones where they were in the water, and it's just like apocalypse. I just thought, oh, you go in the water, you're just waiting around, waiting for the fire to go by. And it's awful. They were in there for hours. Anyway, too horrific to even imagine. Feel bad for them. Okay, so where are you? Missouri. Hi, Missouri. Hi, Missouri. Where are you from? I had to cut it short yesterday. I'm not sure how long I can be on today either. West Clare, yeah, hi, back again in Ireland. I learned so much from you. You're great. Oh, thanks so much for that. I appreciate the support. It helps me. That's why I keep coming back, because people say I'm helping. If I wasn't helping, I wouldn't do this every day. Florida, hi, Jennifer. And Iceland, you've been here before, haven't you, Chris? Iceland. Had someone from Greenland too. I got those two mixed up once. Like I thought, have you been here before? But it was Greenland I was thinking of. Yeah, you've been here. San Francisco, California, been there many times. New York, been there once, loved it. Could you please just be my life coach? Yeah, I don't know much about life. Parenting's about all I'm good at. Fitness and parenting and cleaning. I love cleaning. I don't know why. I talk about cleaning like it's a passion, but it's just such a relaxing thing for me. It's like my zen. So is working out. I love cleaning and working out. Aren't I weird? Don't sound too exciting, do I? Okay, so, I guess we'll just get going. I'm cleaning now while I listen. That's so cute. I won't even ask. I don't even want to know. You know what? If my daughter can't find me in a supermarket, she just goes right to the cleaning aisle. There I am. Just browsing. And I have to restrain myself because I have too much already. I'm crazy. Okay, let's get going. If you go on the link above at bratbusters.linktree, and you'll see everything I've got to offer. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. School is starting soon, so you might want to start to get some systems in place and get ready for that. Anyway, I want to do a video on that. So, but anyway, okay. Okay, now, by the way, put the age down. Make it like, are they 2 or 16? My answer varies depending on the age. So I got asthma, so I sound a bit wheezy. I'm struggling with my almost 2-year-old boy's tantrums. He's still not talking much, only 3 words. Yeah, tantrums. I've done a million videos on tantrums. You completely ignore tantrums. I actually have a whole course on that. You're standing around there. You don't leave the room. You're right there. It's like you're filing your nails. It's important that they see you ignoring them. It's important that they know you know they're having a tantrum, but this is how you're reacting. Like, couldn't be more bored. Like, it's just boring. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. As soon as they're done, oh, you all done? You want to read a book? Like, you completely ignore tantrums before, during, and after. It's a mental process they have to go through. They have to learn how to self-regulate. If you interrupt that by trying to self-regulate them, which doesn't make any sense at all, but people say, well, how do we self-regulate them? You don't. People self-regulate themselves. Self, that's the word self. Anyway, but yeah, you don't interrupt a tantrum. It's their process. They will eventually learn that the better you get at ignoring this, and oh shoot, I wrote it down somewhere. I always forget these 3 words. You know what I'm thinking. If you're a regular, you know exactly what I'm thinking. The better you get at ignoring tantrums, they will decrease in duration, frequency, and intensity. I should come up with an acronym. FID or DIF. DIF. I'm not good at that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, learn to ignore tantrums because there's no point giving any attention to what you want to continue. Okay? And tantrums are not bad behavior. They're just a loss of basically lose their mind for a while. Yeah, there's no thought process in tantrums. It just happens. Yeah, you said child talks back, Miss Gigi. I don't know the age. Oh, they're 13 and 10. It's just a lack of respect. When they respect you, they don't talk back. It's just the way it is. So work on you. You're never fixing kids. We're fixing parents here. You work on your leadership skills and they will not talk back. It would be embarrassing for them to do that because they look up to you. Okay, how can we build that? Build what? The respect? Keep watching me. I've got a whole course on that if you're interested. Oh, you've got a 13-year-old? Yeah, you don't want to take that course. You might want to hire me. I haven't got a teenage course out there, but anyway, it just teaches you how to just keep watching. Look at all my videos. I've got thousands of videos. Have I got thousands? I might have just hundreds. I'm not sure if I'm at, whatever. Do you feel timeouts are oh God, timeout. I hate timeout. Never done it, never will. I can't stand them. Imagine if you did something wrong and your boss stuck you in the corner for 10 minutes. Or I guess you have to go 1 minute per age, so 35 minutes, whatever. Or me, 62 minutes. Like, it's just humiliating. It doesn't work. It's not effective. It's just sort of making someone feel like crap. That's all timeouts are about. So yeah, I don't like them. Just keep watching. You'll learn what else to do. I've got millions of videos. Millions. I just said I haven't even got thousands, and now I said I got millions of videos. Anyway, yeah, I've got hundreds of videos here, and talk about how to discipline. Also, if you look up above, my free behavior board teaches you how to discipline 3-year-olds and up. Under that, the age of 1 and 2, that is consistent corrective actions, because toddlers only learn through repetition. Their language is not words. Their language is actions. So you meet them in their world. Don't expect them to meet you in your world and have these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings. That's just you. That's just on you. That's about you. It's not about your toddler at all. It's all about you. Those methods, that big therapy session, discuss all their big feelings with toddlers. That was invented to make moms feel better about themselves. It has nothing to do with the toddlers. It's all about the mom. That's why they were invented. I saw that coming years ago, decades ago. I saw all that coming. Does it mean you never discuss their big feelings and big emotions? No. Not when you're disciplining, though. Not when they're having a tantrum. Not after. And you don't discuss the tantrums, all that stuff. And toddlers feel secure, feel loved, feel happy through experience. It's organic. It's through experiences with you. It's not through the words. Okay, that's you. That's not their language. Use your words. Use your words. It's so patronizing. I'd sure like to meet the person who invented that phrase. Use your words. How patronizing is that? Could you imagine arguing with your partner? Use your words. It's so freaking patronizing. It's like saying, calm down, calm down. Boy, I hate all that stuff. So I'm drinking tea. I've got my Ventolin. I got asthma today, so that's why I sound all sexy. Okay. 3-year-old temper tantrums 5 times a day. Yeah, they're going to do that. At 3 years old, though, they should be outgrowing that a little bit more. So it kind of says that they're working. They must be working. You must be interrupting them by giving them attention. You must be trying to talk to them during a tantrum, are you? Because that's what happens. Any attention is tantrum food. You're watering it, fertilizing it. Every time you give it attention, you're just watering it. So yeah. Oh, 3-year-old boy, almost 3-year-old boy, has big tantrums, getting worse when I ignore him. Yeah, that's because in the past you didn't, right? So he remembers the old you. You got to stay strong. Absolutely stay strong. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It doesn't happen if you've always been a leader, but if you were not a leader before, now you're trying to become a leader, it's going to get worse because they remember the old you. They remember when they were in charge and they had a lot over you. And that's why it usually gets worse before. Everyone wants the rainbow. You got to go through the storm to get to that rainbow, right? Anyway. Sorry, I've just got asthma. I'm struggling here. Okay. Seven-year-old with big mood swings and discussions. Mood swings and discussions. Is it a phase? I don't understand the discussions. I understand 7-year-olds with mood swings. What's the discussions part? I don't know what you're talking about there. By the way, when you're a good leader, children emotionally are more settled. They feel safe. They feel calm. They just are emotional because they feel taken care of by a leader. If you're a pleaser parent, it's the opposite of that. They're more likely to feel taken care of with an authority style, or the old-fashioned style. If you're going to err on either side, this trendy pleaser parent stuff, it is just awful. It's just awful. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They have no fortitude. They don't know how to do anything for themselves because you've been rolling out the red carpet trying to make life easy for them. Okay? And you're trying to validate everything, tell them they're absolutely perfect and wonderful when they go out in the world. That's the self-entitlement. Then they find out they're not and they're a mess. They're like, why isn't everyone treasuring me? You know, it's just ridiculous. Like, well, you didn't validate my feelings. Well, I'm just the bus driver lady. I mean, they're just so fragile and demanding and high maintenance. That's what the pleaser parent. I'm exaggerating. Yes, I know that. But that's the pleaser parent style. That's where it's going. That's the direction it's going in. The old fat, I don't do that, or the authority. The authority style is my way or the highway. I'm in charge. Way better way to parent than the pleaser parent. Pleaser parent, they're going to wipe their feet all over you, and they don't feel safe. They're more likely to feel emotionally unstable. So mood swings, all that kind of stuff. That's where that comes from. It's the pleaser parent. 13-year-old still bedwetting. Not uncommon. It's now I'm not a doctor, but I've heard that it is bladder, an immature or undeveloped, no, immature bladder, I think they call it. I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this stuff. But yeah, it's not uncommon. So I would do this, get them to do all the exercises, stop and start. Also put an alarm on so they have to get up in the middle of the night and go pee. If you want to make it easier, put an old milk jug beside their bed. If it's a boy, obviously. But yeah, it's not uncommon. By the way, if you're going to put an old milk jug beside their bed, fill it up with water first, so that, or not fill it up, but put some in there so it doesn't just tip over easily. You don't want them to kick it over, like weight it down. How do I know that? Because I've had clients who've didn't weight it down, and you can just imagine. All this stuff comes up. It's very rare that I come up against something that I haven't come up against. People always think I'm so embarrassed to have to tell you this, and I'm like, yeah, what is it? Like, good luck with that. It's only once in the last, I'd say, 5-10 years, and I've been doing this for about 17 years. And it took me a few years to, get all this encyclopedia of stuff built up. But I would say in the last 10 years, I've only come across one that threw me for a loop. And if the parents are watching, they'll know what it is. It was very unusual, and I'd never heard of it before. I'd actually never heard of it before. And I've talked to people since, other professionals, like because some of my clients are child psychologists. So I've asked them about it, and because we trade services sometimes, and if it's something really, really unusual, I will ask them. I don't use names, of course, but yeah, it's very rare that I haven't heard of something. So you're not alone. If you think you're the only one going through this and that you're bad parents, no, you're just an untrained parent, or your child may have some tendency that's unusual. But because the untrained parent, I can teach you how to be a leader. But if your child has a tendency that's off the charts in an unusual way, it can be dealt with. But yeah, that's something different. But that's very unusual. How long does it usually take when you are trying to fix your mistakes? The older the kids, the longer you've been making mistakes, the longer it's going to take. Teenagers, 3 to 6 months. Little ones could be 3 to 5 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks. Yeah, depends on the age, how long, how much of these mistakes ingrained. With teenagers, yeah, takes longer. They're my favorite age. That's my specialty, is troubled teens and crisis work. I love doing all that because it makes me stop and think. And teenagers they always kind of scare me a little bit because they're so impulsive, and if they're depressed, you never know what they're going to do. So you got to tread really carefully with teenagers. And I know some parenting coaches watch me. If you're going to deal with troubled teens or teens in crisis, make sure you've got experience with that, because it's serious stuff, right? Is it okay to let a 2-year-old rest in her room for 2 hours if she doesn't nap? Well, is she just relaxing and enjoying herself, or is she imprisoned in there? I don't quite know what you mean by that. Like a 2-year-old in their room for 2 hours? Just what are they doing in there? I wouldn't do that. Like, I don't quite understand what you mean. She reads and sings. Oh, that's fine then. Yeah. If she's happily just relaxing in there, that's cute. Yeah, but I wouldn't shut the door and lock her in. I have a basic cheery nature, and I know this because my mom used to tell me through the teen years, you kind of lose it a bit. But anyway, my mom used to tell me this when I was a baby and a toddler. When I woke up, I never cried, really. She goes, "What you used to do is sing," and they'd hear me when I woke up. I'd go ah, and then if they didn't come in, I'd wait a while, and then when they wouldn't come in, I'd get louder and louder. So they'd wait outside, and whenever they had company over, they'd all listen to this. I would just sing with ah, like, I'm ready to get up. Okay. My 3-year-old screams at me when mad. Do I just ignore it? Screaming's a bit different than tantrums. If they scream, I don't really address it, but it is a sign. It's a sign that you're not a leader. They don't scream at you if you're a leader. They just don't. So work on your leadership skills. She's 3 years old. You can get my course, How to Become a Leader in 5 Weeks. That'll help. That'll teach you exactly step by step how to do this, how to set yourself up as a leader if you're interested in that. If not, just keep watching. I got tons of videos on here. You asked about this yesterday, I think. Maybe. Sounds very similar. Is it normal for my 6-year-old to be mean to her friends? If not, what should I do to get her to be nice? If you didn't ask, I think someone else has something like that. Give me just a sec. Yeah, you did ask, and I answered. Yeah. I said that whenever she's mean to someone, make her give them something, like a gift. Yeah, it's a bit of, you have to kind of figure that out. What exactly is she doing? So I'd have to, that's my general TikTok answer. Every time she's mean to someone, she has to do something nice for them. Yeah, so give them a gift or do something, an act of kindness or something for them. But I don't know exactly. If you want further help, you'd have to hire me for that. And I have to assess the situation and then decide where to go to make it appropriate. Oh, 13-year-old boy suppressing all of his feelings. Is it normal? It is normal. Yeah, but I don't know what to say about that. Like, because that always scares you when they don't talk. So work on your listening skills potentially. What I mean by that is, what do I say about listening? I wrote it down somewhere. Oh yeah, I call it silent listening, but then that's my politically correct term. The other ones I prefer is open your ears and shut your mouth, and then listen and then shut up. So what you do, the best way of learning how to listen is you listen to understand and show empathy, and then you stop talking. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it, and they always know what it is anyway. So you don't listen to gather information to lecture with, and do not keep saying to a 13-year-old boy, how are you feeling? What are you doing? Just anytime he talks, just listen, go, yeah, that would be frustrating, or blah, blah. Just listen and shut up. Silence is golden with teenage boys, especially. They don't like every single minute to be filled up. They're never going to come in and talk if you keep filling up all the silence. So yeah, just learn how to go quiet, and they'll tell you everything. Okay, not absolutely everything, I'm sure, but they'll tell you everything important. Don't listen to talk, listen to understand. Absolutely. You don't, like, a lot of people gather information so they can talk. Like, they listen, and you can see people listening. Oh, and about me, or here's the advice. That's not listening. That's just waiting for your turn, is what it is. But yeah, listening is I remember once a friend said to me, you're a really good listener. And I am when it's a problem. Otherwise, I'm a talker. But if someone's got a problem, I know how to listen through problems. And but yeah, it's silence is golden, especially with teenage boys. Also, I don't want to go on about it too much. I can't tell a lot of stories because I've got asthma, so I got to keep taking breaks. Sorry. But I want to go on about that, how to be furniture with teenage boys, what I did with my son. If you've been on here before, you'll know what I'm talking about. I might have done a video, how to connect with your teenager. I would look that up. Yeah, my asthma is just bugging me. Sorry to say. I'm trying to steam it out. Okay, 9-year-old son bullies his little sister. She's 6. Put on the behavior board, don't stop being mean to your sister. And then every time he has to do something nice for her. Usually it's giving her a toy, his favorite toy. She gets to play with it for half an hour without him. Something like that. So use the behavior board. It's free up there on my website. If you want my help, you can hire me. Otherwise, I've got a course on how to get respect in 5 weeks. Sibling rivalry is in there. Hmm. saving all your videos because turning one. Um, I'm looking back at Valerie. Someone else is answering her. My kiddo, because I liked your answer. So my kiddo, 20 months, throws her food, looking at us in the eye. What do we do? Oh yeah, she's looking at it. Is this okay? Is that okay? Do you like this? Is that going to get a reaction? The first time kids throw food with me or utensils, I pick it up. They don't get it back for the rest of that meal. I don't care if they don't eat, by the way. I've never heard of a kid starving to death by not eating one meal. Like, I've actually never heard of it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying to do it, but I'm just saying this is what I would do. I hand feed them. So if they don't want to be hand fed, they can sit there and not eat. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Like, when I know I'm doing the right thing, I don't care how they react. It means nothing to me because I know I'm doing the right thing. They throw something, throw food, they throw whatever, and I say, nope, that's all gone. Here you go. They learn really quickly when you're good at this. There's no anger. It's just, here you go. And then they push it away, say, fine. Then just wait it out. You want some now? Okay. Wait it out. And then eventually just give up. After a few minutes, give up. They'll learn. It takes time, though. Everyone wants this first time to do something that's going to work. Toddlers take time. They don't learn that quick. They learn through repetition. They don't learn through, by the way, now you got to respect us and not throw food. That's just ridiculous. They learn through this action, consistent corrective action, because they learn through repetition. It's not words, it's all actions. And my kids, they did that. They threw food, but then they eventually learned that when they throw food, not with dad so much, but with mom, they knew if they threw something, then that was it. They were going to get hand fed. They just knew it. So they would, and you can see the difference when they were with dad. They'd look over at me and they think, well, dad's here now. And if I throw food, I'm still going to get to feed myself. And then he learned, he did watch me. He was very respectful of the fact that I was the leader and he liked the way the kids turned out with me. So he was very good at supporting that. So then he learned too, not to do that. But I can remember one of them, I don't remember which one, was going to throw something, looked over at me, saw it wasn't me, and then it was dad, and then threw it. So it was that. They were thinking. They were really little too. Okay. Well, why are you giving him any attention? My son gets mad when he's having a tantrum and you look at him. Of course. You're feeding it. You're fertilizing it. Any attention is feeding and fertilizing a tantrum. You're making it grow. Of course. Completely ignore it. They got to see you ignoring it. Like, they got to know that you know they're having it, but you're just ignoring it. You might even look down every so often like this. Like, oh, you're not done yet? That kind of thing. Calm as anything. As soon as you ignore the crazy, reward the calm. As soon as they're calm, you say, oh, you want to read a book or want to go to the park? No big deal. I don't discuss tantrums before, during, or after. It's ridiculous. Makes no sense at all. They learn how to self-regulate organically. The better you get at ignoring tantrums, they will lessen in duration, frequency, and intensity. For some reason, I can't remember those 3 words. I don't know why. It's the word frequency and intensity I get, but it's that word duration. You know how you get stuck with some words? For years, if I had said the word photograph, I could not say photographer afterwards. I would call him a photographer for like 60 years. I couldn't do that. If I had said, oh, he took a photograph, and then they'd say, who? Oh, the photographer. I could not say that. So I've got this word duration. It's that same mental block in there. Okay. Oops, it just skipped through. If I miss your questions, either it's a repeat of what I've already answered, or I've just skipped ahead. Like, they flip themselves, right? Some say ignoring cries is bad and starves child of emotional connection. Love. I don't address all that stuff. I know who's saying that. That's the pleaser parent style. It's not me. Yeah. If you don't like what I'm saying, I'm never going to be for you, ever. And that's fine. I think there's all sorts of, you got to follow someone who you go, yeah, that makes sense. If I ain't making sense to you by now, I probably never will. So. Does that work with every age? Does what work? The hand feeding? What, at 16 years old? What was it? Was it ignoring tantrums? What was it? User 511. Does that work with every age? I'm curious. What are you talking about? The tantrums? Ignoring tantrums. Oh, absolutely. The only time that you're always ignoring them, but if they get violent, up until about the age of 7 or 8, depending on their size, if they start getting violent, you restrain them. If they're bigger and it's going to be a fight, a physical fight, you let them damage property or let them go. You just interfere if they're going to hurt themselves or someone else. But yeah, you might lose a TV or two. It's just the way it happens. But you don't physically restrain them if you can't, like if it's not an easy thing to do when they get bigger. But yeah, you always ignore tantrums. Like, I never had one, but if I'd acted out or something, this would have been my mother. She would have looked over at me like, are you kidding me with this? And I would have been embarrassed. Like, I never had tantrums, but my daughter was like this. We hate getting in trouble. Like, just never mind. Like, especially, yeah, just hate getting in trouble. Like, if I've been pulled over for speeding tickets, I think once since 2005. I think I've got 2 speeding tickets in my life. Probably 2. Anyway, when I'm pulled over, they said, wow, you are the most easiest ticket we've ever had. I'm like, sorry, I'm so sorry. I know I spent, like, I just hate getting in trouble. It's funny. Yeah, and by the way, a tantrum is not bad behavior, so there's nothing to discipline. A tantrum is a total loss of your brain cells. Like, they just go out the window. They start with anger, but they don't continue with it. They continue with momentum. So, yeah, they're not bad behavior. I don't know what you mean by this. A child who's very disconnected from themselves? I have no idea what you mean. Are they autistic? What do you mean? Now he opens up to me about relationships, schoolgirls, etc. Now, what do you mean? There must have been a previous. Oh, okay, you're talking here about you tried something. I agree. Oh, I don't know what you're referring to, actually. Okay. What about tantrums at age 25? Yeah, just divorce them if it's your partner, or if they're your kid, just kick them out of the house. Yeah. I don't have a lot of patience for adult tantrum or temper because I don't really have one. I'm very reasonable. Like, you can always reason with me, and I don't have any tolerance for adult tantrum or temper. Isn't that interesting? We all have something we can live with. I can't live with a temper. Yeah, I just can't. We're all different. Like, I find it extremely unattractive. Oh, a child from neglect and trauma. Okay, that's coaching one-on-one. I specialize in crisis work. That's one-on-one. You'd have to hire me for that if you want my help. Co-parenting, structures and how to do it best, and don't talk about. Yeah. I can't give you any general advice ever, except love your kids more than you hate each other. I mean, I went through it. I went through divorce. We split up when the kids were 9 and 14, and we sailed right through it pretty much. Odd little bump, but it was very rare. We never fought or anything. The kids never saw us argue. They don't care if you like each other. They just care that you get along. So work your buns off to get along with your ex. And that's my best advice. If you can't, you'd have to hire me. And we work out things. We try and work things out. Not if I can't get access to them, we still, but that's coaching. Because every family is so different and the advice is very different with each family. Once I go give him a hug, typically calms down. So you're hugging the tantrum? I'm not going to comment. If it's working, don't fix it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. The thing is that, how old is he? Because I have an extra comment on that. He's 2.5. So once you hug me, it calms down. If it's a full-blown tantrum, that doesn't make any sense to me. You can't interrupt a tantrum and cure a tantrum with a hug. You can cure, they might be a little bit upset, but I've seen parents call things tantrums that I would not call a tantrum. A tantrum is when their eyeballs are spinning, they're just out of it. They lose their nut. Like that's a tantrum. But yeah, for a hug to work, I don't know. I don't know, maybe. But like I said, if it's don't what I was going to say was sometimes they don't okay, you meet their needs and manage their wants. One of their needs is love and affection, right? If they're not getting enough of that, and if they tantrum to get that, then a hug could cure it. Like if you're not meeting their needs, it's not to say that you don't hug them a lot, but maybe their needs to get hugged more. But I don't know. I would be able to figure that out. But you see, so there's different reasons why that might be working, or it could just mean that they're learning that tantrums work, and that down the road they'll kick it up a notch to get other things, not just a hug. So I don't know. Or else it could just be working, but you might just have an easier kid. Like my daughter never had tantrums. You could have done anything with her; she would have turned out fine. Just a really easygoing personality. How do I keep a child calm during a tantrum? How do I keep child calm? You don't. You don't. That's the whole point. What you're saying to me is, how do I interrupt craziness and make it sane with a toddler? It's impossible. I didn't do it yet. I have to do a video today. Because I told someone I would. They sent me an email. What was that video? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'll address that. I did address it yesterday. I thought if they were on the live, I did talk about it yesterday on the live, but it wasn't about that. I thought it was. Never mind. Oh, what if my nephew's out of control every time they visit? Should I offer sister advice or ignore it? Tricky situation. I never offered any advice. I never told my friends or family how to parent. There's no way. I'll never tell my kids how to parent. It's none of my business. You stay out of it. But if they're destroying your house and ruining your property, then I would say, look, I don't want my stuff broken. How about we just meet at your house until he's out of this stage? I would do something like that, potentially. Like I wouldn't put up with that if they're destroying your house or hurting your kids. I would just say, while he's in this stage, don't say because you can't control him, but while he's in this stage, how about we just meet at your house? So that you can get up and leave if your kids are being hurt and it's not your property being destroyed. I wouldn't tolerate that, not in a million years. If kids came over and started destroying my home, I would say we're gonna have to meet at your place. Like I just wouldn't tolerate that. I love my home. I wouldn't tolerate that. You just ignore them while they're having a tantrum in public. Absolutely. The thing is, it's only in a loud environment or somewhere where it's not going to bother people. Otherwise, you take them in the car, take them out in a parking lot. You can move them and then ignore them somewhere where it's not going to disrupt people. Like you wouldn't do that in a restaurant. That's not fair to other people. I consider that really rude. I would never let my kids have a tantrum in a restaurant. Which story should I tell? Oh, I'll tell the mall story. My son was 3. I think it was his second to last tantrum. He had a tantrum. I pulled him away from the stairs, put him up against a store window, pulled out my nail file, and just started filing my nails, ignoring him. And all these young moms were coming by. Oh, you should give him a hug. He needs a hug. And you should talk. Oh, shut up. Anyway, keep going, keep going. They didn't know. They were just young moms. They didn't know what they were talking about. Anyway, but these older moms and grandmothers kept coming up to me, like lots of them. Way to go. You know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, you got to ignore that. Anyway, it didn't last for long. He gets up and I say, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go. You see, it's sort of like it just runs. It's never working. They learn eventually to only do what works. It gets no attention, nothing. He gets nothing out of it. I ignore the crazy. Let him figure it out. And he did. He figured it out. He learned to self-regulate. It ain't going to work with mom, that's for sure. They went on a bit longer with dad. For sure. He was a great dad. He was just more usually is just one leader. And my mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. I was the leader. My ex-husband was the pleaser. And there's nothing wrong with that because you balance like it's not a bad thing. So long as that pleaser defers to the leader and says, do you want me to tell mom? Or let's check with mom. It's all it took with our kids. Do you want me to tell mom? No, never mind. I never even did anything. My son once said to me, he was a teenager, he goes, "Why were we so afraid of you? You never even did anything." I said, "That's just respect." They were just afraid of disappointing me. I never did anything. When kids tell other kids what to do. Well, you mean like in a really bossy way? It depends on the age. Like if they're 3 and above, I'd say, "Look, I don't like your bossiness. It's a bit much. So I can tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give every time you get bossy, we're going to give your friend or they can boss you around now. Tell what they want. You have to do whatever they say." I would flip it. It's hard to do. You got to be a leader to be able to do that kind of stuff, but it's a really good way to start learning how to be a leader. Take control. So, we don't always when kids do something mean or wrong or bad, we want to teach them how to be nice or good. You see? Or right. We want to flip it. So we don't just teach them how not to be bad. We want to teach them how to be good. There's a difference there. Like that's what I did with my kids. If they did something wrong, I'd say, "Tell you what, I didn't like that. How about you brush my hair now for 5 minutes?" Because I love having it done. I've never had anyone in my life who loves brushing hair. Never. Um, Maybe I should hire someone just to brush my hair. I just love having my hair brushed. And it's curly, so I'm a big frizz ball when it happens. I don't care. It's worth it. That's what I get my kids to do. Didn't like that. You forgot to make your bed this morning. 5 minutes. Get the brush. That was about all I did. Except my son was 12 and he was late or something once. So I said, "Look, no TV tonight," or because he kept me waiting somewhere and he knows I don't like that. And it kind of wasn't his fault, but I wanted to get this done. I wanted a makeover. So I said, "I'll tell you what, you can either no TV tonight or you can give me a makeover." He was 12 years old and I was laying on the couch and I just love having all that. I love spas and all that stuff. And yet I don't like wearing makeup. I just love having all that done. Anyway, so I'm laying there and he said he felt like a serial killer, like, "Oh, pretty girl," because I'm just laying on the couch while he's putting makeup. We were just cracking up. It was a blast. But it was still punishment. It was still a consequence. You see, he didn't want to do it. Okay, well, I don't know the answer to this. You'd have to hire me and I could figure it out, or I could just guess. 3-year-old behaves better with me, not dad. When dad comes home, she immediately acts out. Why? It could be to make sure that she gets the attention first before you do. Could be that, or just overexcitement. She's overstimulated. Dad comes in, she just acts out like it's just a loss of control. Or it could be just to keep his attention on her. Because they tend to get attention when they act out, right? Do you take questions about adult kids? Not really. No, not really. I teach parenting. Your job's kind of over. That's why I'm a parenting coach. I'm not a how to handle your adult kids coach. It's different. They got their own lives. So you don't want to, plus I teach leadership. You don't want to be their leader, right? And even at teenagers, they're more their own leader, but you're there for backup. It's shifting. Then by the time they're adults, you see, I teach leadership. You don't lead. The only time I take on clients who have kids up to 25 is if they're still living at home and they're somewhat financially independent. And also you're willing to get zero results because I can't guarantee that the results are less and less as they get older because it gets harder. You've got your relationship cemented by that time usually. There's still a few things we can do, but it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be easy. So, but yeah, I do that. It comes up in coaching. Oops, shoot. Okay. My son is 13. My niece and nephews are all under 8. They always treat him like a punching bag. Advice. Oh, does he not like that or does he encourage that? So yeah, if they're under, I would just say, "Hey, no more hitting. No more hitting my son or else we'll leave." Just lay down the law. No more hitting him or else we leave. But they would have been taught to do that by it being accepted in the past. Like, you know what? You know what's interesting? Um, my ex-husband never roughhoused with our kids. Never wrestled, never did roughhousing. Not that it's a bad thing to do, but I would not have liked that. it opens the door to physicality being okay. It makes them comfortable with physicality. But that's just my personal view on that. It's not necessarily black and white because lots of my clients wrestle with their kids, and I say, great, if they love that and it works out, do it. But I didn't want that. I didn't want any physicality to ever be comfortable with my kids. Does that make sense? Just because I've seen it go awry so many times. That's why. Because I had so much experience with kids before I had my own, and I remember thinking, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure whoever I end up with, the father of my kids, doesn't do that. Because I just saw lots of times it was fine, but a lot of times I saw it go the other way. Rewarding the calm is working for me. Happy to report. Yeah, you ignore the crazy, reward the calm. So as soon as they're finished the tantrum, you don't keep ignoring them. As soon as they're done, say, oh, you all done? You want to go to the park? Something like that. If they start up again, just ignore them again. Sometimes that'll start them up again. But you're never giving them what they want. When I say reward, if they are having a tantrum because they didn't get ice cream, you don't give them the ice cream after the tantrum. See what I mean? Do you believe in toy rotation? Yeah, I teach that all the time. I'll read it again. My five top toddler tips. Number 1 is completely childproof your whole house so you never have to say no. Number 2 is have a toy rotation system in place. Number 3 is when you do play with them, enter their world. Find your inner toddler, get down on the ground with them. They just connect with you differently. That's part of leadership, right? Is you connect with them in their world. The 4th one is stop trying to figure them out. They haven't formed yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're going to smear poop on the wall, maybe. To them, that's completely normal. Number 5 is stop talking and start taking action when they're naughty. So it's consistent corrective actions, not words. These mini therapy sessions are garbage. They're just for the mom. What's the harm in playing rough if they enjoy it? Like I said, it's my opinion. Because I've seen it go awry so many times. Is the dad wrestles with the kids. Next thing you know, that becomes the school bully because he's got more practice. He's used to being rough. So he goes to kindy and oh, my child's so rough at kindy. And I'm like, does the dad roughhouse with him? Yes. Well, that's why. He's comfortable with being rough with his body, like hurting people and getting rough. That's why. Plus, if he's been wrestling with dad, who's a full-grown man, then he goes to kindy or kindergarten or grade 1. He's wrestling his same size. Imagine how he could overtake them. So that's why, because I've seen it go wrong so many times. That's why I made a choice. I'm never going to let that happen with my kids. That's why. Can you write those down? I'll just say it again. Childproof the house, toy rotation, play in their world. Don't try and figure them out because they're crazy. And stop talking when they're naughty. Take action, consistent corrective action. I've actually got a video. I just did it last week on just that. Did I have 5 tips? I think I started 3 tips, 4 tips. I kept adding. And then like a week from now, it'll be 27 tips. But yeah, 5 tips for toddlers. Those are kind of my top 5. But I only started with 3. Anyway. Yeah. I don't do the wrestling because my son didn't know when to, I guess, stop. And not, so it became a problem. Yeah, I've seen it a lot. And every time a kid's a bully and hits at school, I say, did the dad roughhouse with him? Well, yes, but that was all in fun. I'm like, that's where it leads. You've taught him. He's got a different sense of his body. His body is meant to be rough, right? So he goes to school and he's taken down these other kids, given in a headlock, and the parents can't figure out why. It's because you've been roughhousing with them. Do you know anything about ODD? Well, yeah, but it's not a medical diagnosis. It's just a made-up acronym. But yeah. Most kids I worked with had that. It's opposite. For those who don't know, it's oppositional defiance disorder. It just means they're feisty. It just means they don't have a leader. So yeah, it's not a medical diagnosis though. It just means that they're desperate for leadership. Do you know what's interesting? Well, whenever I work with kids, I've worked with hundreds of kids. And whenever someone handed a kid over to me, they never once ever said, here's an easy one. They always said, good luck with this one, Lisa. They always handed me the difficult kids because that's what I was there for. I was supporting teachers, or I was in hospitals, or going into homes and help supporting kids, when parents needed help. And the more feisty and difficult and rotten the kids were, the easier they, or the quicker, not the easier, the quicker they were for me to turn around and get respect from. Do you know why? Can you guess why? My regulars will know why. Why were they the quickest for me to become the leader? Like that. Why would that be? The more difficult, feisty, rotten, mean, cheeky kids were the quickest ones to look to me for leadership and respect me. I already answered it, because they're desperate for leaders. Once they find a leader, they almost go like this. Oh, thank God. Oh, finally, that's what I've been looking for. Leaders make them feel safe, secure. They increase their self-esteem. They level their emotions. They make them feel safe. Kids desperately need, crave, and want leadership. If you don't give it to them, they're going to be susceptible to bullies, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. Not that they're that bad, but you get where I'm going with this. When they've got a leader at home, they are not susceptible to anything else. They're going to come to you right through the teen years with everything, because you're that safe place to land. Advice for when teens start dating. Not really. I don't have advice for that. Good luck with that. I did a TV spot. I used to do a lot of regular TV spots, and back in the day. And then I found out that my clients weren't watching TV. It was mostly grandparents. So I just stopped doing the mainstream media work. Anyway, but I used to do a lot of it. And one of them was, oh shit, I forgot. Oh yeah. They actually asked me, I didn't always know what was coming up, because they were used to me doing it. There was no prep work, right? They knew I could just turn up and talk. So they would I'd say, I'd rather you just throw questions at me without being prepared. I don't like being prepared. So anyway, if I have to rehearse or think about it, it's lousy. So anyway, they said to me, at what age should kids have sex? And I said, well, I'll tell you what I told my kids. You can start having sex when you're 40 years old, because hopefully I'll be dead by then. It's always awkward. Doesn't matter how old they are, what's going on. I would say, I'm never going to say an age, but certainly under 13 or 15 is, like, that's gross, because they're not mature enough to really get it. I would say 15 and over is the most common ages I see when they start, doing that. But dating, they can start dating at 13. A lot of rules around that, though. It has to be in a group. It can't just be all couples, because they all couple off. It cannot be in a movie. I've talked to teenagers who got pregnant in movies. So movies are dark, and they're, so it can't be in a movie. So, and also you have to know the other parents, and they have to be driven there and back. And there's a lot of rules around that. But yeah, they can start dating at 13 because they're a teenager. I think they should be able to. But yeah. I won't go into it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff I've got about how you talk to kids about all this. And they'll tell you everything, whether you want to hear it or not. Oh. If you get good at listening and you're a good leader, they're going to come to you. They're going to tell you everything. But I know I used to tell I'm very open, and I used to tell my kids when they were young. I told them this stuff when they were young. I said, if you're ever considering having, I don't want to say it on here, then just let me know, and I'll go to Costco and get a flat of whats. And so, oh, mom. And I said, yeah. I said, So yeah, we did talk about everything, but it's always awkward. Well, okay. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm calm and gentle for the most part, but my 6-year-old is completely out of control. You're just not a leader. Work on your leadership skills, okay? That's what it's all about. Just keep watching. I have a whole course on how to be a leader if you're interested. It's up there. It's in the link above, and it's 5 weeks. It teaches you how to get respect. So if you're interested in that, that'll help you out. Like, I can't answer that in one quick question. It takes 5 weeks. It's a huge course. Do not rush through that course. Everyone wants week 4. Do not go to week 4 right away. If you do, you're going to regret it. You got to start slow. Work your way up. Everyone wants week 4 and 5. Work your way up, because they go off the behavior board. The first 3 weeks are behavior boards. You need to learn how to do this. 1 rule per week. If you rush it, you're going to fail. It's just too fast. I feel like I don't even want to read that acronym out, because I don't know what it means. I'm going to look it up. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I didn't read that out. Don't worry about it. So do all my clients. Then we always start that. I say, get over it. Let's move forward. Let's laugh at all the dumb things you did. We all make mistakes. That's part of life, right? Life is the road to success is paved with failure. Clients are often saying, I say, don't hold back with me. You tell me the dumbest thing you did and that you're really upset about. And they tell me, I go, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. Like, parenting's the hardest job in the world with the least amount of training, and yet everyone expects you to be an expert, especially you. Have you been trained on parenting? Have you actually taken courses and trained yourself on parenting? If not, then why do you expect to be, it's work. Everyone takes the Lamaze classes. I'll tell you, I didn't use one single thing they said. That's the birthing classes. What a waste. I mean, the baby takes over when that's happening. Breathe, shut up, I am. It's just useless. But no one takes parenting classes. And parenting lasts for 18 years. Labor is like 18 hours. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense at all to me. Train yourself. I'm trying everything. I hear this all the time. I've tried everything. Have you done everything I've said? Well, no. So, and also when you're trying things, this is what happens. Parents go, oh, that sounds good. They try it out for a week. It doesn't work. Then they'll try something else. That didn't work. They try. Your kids are watching you and they think, oh, they don't know what the heck they're doing. Pick a path, go with it for 3 weeks minimum and see how you go. It's like dieting. It's a slow burn. It takes time and it's going to be hard. It gets harder before it gets easier. It's a slow burn, but you gotta invest 3 weeks in this stuff to really see the results. Some stuff can be overnight, like bedtime is a good one. Bedtime can be one night of sheer hell, and then they never get up again. But yeah, most things, it takes a while because we're not fixing kids, we're fixing parents. We're teaching you how to be a leader. So yeah, check out that course. It teaches you how to be a leader. If you've got a 3 to 12-year-old. My son just argues and argues when I'm silent and won't argue back. Well, just a sec. I got a siren going by here. How old is he? Because I will show you what I do with that. Depends on the age. How old is he, Rachel? He argues and argues even when I am silent and won't argue back. I'm going to turn over. So exhausted. Yeah, what age? Is he 2 or 12 or 7? 7. Oh, okay. Argues back. Here's an example of this. So if you want to start being a leader, use the behavior board. It's free up above, or you can take the course. It uses the behavior boards. Anyway, so you got the behavior board down there. And you said, let's say the rule is no lying. Let's say he's a liar. He lies. You just call it what it is. Just put down his rule is no lying. You've got rules on there too, right? Everyone's got a rule. No lying. So he lies. And on the board, he's 7. Say, no lying. I will decide when you've lied. So he can't argue it. He will, but you've already covered your bases here. A leader covers their bases. So anyway, and you've discussed the behavior board. You've discussed it with him. So you catch him in a lie. And you say, okay, you lied. Let's go to the behavior board. And you're saying, okay, lying. And then he goes like this. But I wasn't lying. I said, behavior board says, now if he starts talking right then, I do this. I do that silent listening. It's different with this in this situation, but I don't say a word. As soon as he stops talking. So the consequence for lying, he starts at you again. And you go like this. Like, you're not ignoring him. This is different than a tantrum. You're not ignoring him, but you're not giving any validity to what he's saying. None. Okay? So then you go back to the board. Every time he's silent, you go back to the board. What if he's never silent? Wait till he leaves, and then you read out loud to yourself. Okay, the consequence is this. You say the consequence is you have to do the dishes tonight. Okay, he starts coming at you. And then you go like this. Soon as there's a silence after you've read out the discipline, because there's always 2 consequences. The first one is the positive action, do the dishes. If they won't do that, the negative one comes into play. That's the 24-hour media blackout. He's 7, he understands this, or he can understand this. Okay, you're going to be doing the dishes tonight. Do you understand? No, that's not fair. It wasn't a lie. Say, that's fine. And then later on, if he doesn't do the dishes, then you say, so later on, he doesn't do the dishes. You don't say, if he starts arguing, you're just walking away at that point. So later on, he doesn't do the dishes. And you say, well, the dishes have to be done within 30 minutes starting now. And you don't say a word. Don't say a word. If you do, he wins. He's arguing, just Okay, 30 minutes. You're waiting, waiting, waiting. Okay, so you might be doing something else in the meantime. Beep, beep, 30 minutes is up. Okay, the dishes aren't done. 24-hour media blackout starts now. Do you understand? Now, you see what I did there? I just calmly followed through with that behavior board. That is law. That is happening. All I did was follow through. I don't care what he does. That's his, it's none of my business how he processes my leadership. None of my business. It's none of your business. Let him learn from watching you. Let him learn through experience. That's how they learn. Okay, but you see how I did that? Just calm. All I did was follow through with the behavior board. I'm a leader. I know what I'm doing. It's his choice to yell at me or argue with me. That's fine. But this is where a lot of parents get tripped up. Okay, so you didn't do the dishes. Time's up. Dishes weren't done. So 24-hour media blackout kicks in. Okay, fine, I'll go do the dishes. Well, you can if you want, but you're still getting 24-hour media blackout. Not fair, not fair. You'll know next time, won't you? See how calm I am? Zero emotions. It's a business transaction. All discipline is like a business transaction. There are zero emotions. When everything's fun and happy, it's all crazy emotions, laughter, goofing around with your kids, arm farts, whatever. Be as goofy as you want. But when you're disciplining, my son used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run, because that's when I mean business. I get real quiet. I get real quiet when I'm disciplining. If they don't hear me over there yelling, that's on them, right? You'll know next time, won't you? That I would end with that. And then when he keeps at you, just ignore, ignore. Hard to do. Hard to do. I do that with a lot of coaching clients. We role play that. They have to do it in front of me. And you should see the first time they do it. It's not good. By about the third time, they just start to get it. And they said, God, that felt good. And I'm like, yeah, it does. So yeah, we role play that. And it's step by step. And it's different in different situations, but that's the gist of it. Have many other kids none have acted this way. So what you're saying, you got a black sheep? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. When I'm hired and they've got several kids, I usually will say, which one's the target? There's usually one that's the target. Not always. Sometimes they're all out of control and the parents are a mess and, but there's usually one. And we got to make it not obvious that we're targeting that one too. Like sometimes people do the behavior board on their own before they hire me. And it's like they have 4 kids and they have 3 easy ones and 1 difficult one at the bottom there. So they'll put down, oh, make your bed every morning, put your dishes in the dish. And then the last one, stop being a rotten little brat. They literally will put stuff like that on there. It's hilarious. What are your thoughts on Super Nanny? Now, I don't critique other people because I think that's trashy and rude, to be honest. I think it's just rude. But the only reason I will discuss her was because I never look at anyone else. And I looked at her because I was asked twice over the years to do a similar show. And I looked at it and realized I wasn't comfortable embarrassing families on TV. So I asked for creative control. And because I didn't want that drama being aired. It was going to be for teenagers. Because the teenagers would just kill themselves afterwards, right? If they were humiliated on TV. So they asked me but anyway, so they got rid of me pretty quick. And it never went up. There's not many people who specialize in teenagers. So I just don't think, and can talk on air. And I just don't think they found anyone else who would do it. Anyone responsible would not embarrass teenagers on TV. They just wouldn't. And, but anyway, but yeah, I watched her. Now, she's 2 things that are very different from me. She is a nanny. And she doesn't have her own children. And so she specializes in young kids, not teenagers or anything. But she knows what she's doing. She's just got a different style from me. But her method works for her, and she knows what she's doing. She knows how to get respect. Okay, it's just different, and that's okay. It's like religions. There's lots of different religions, and they're all okay. Well, not all of them maybe, but you know what I'm saying? She's just different. But she isn't a mom. She isn't a nanny. Or she is a nanny. And she specializes in young children, but she knows what she's doing. But that's the only one I'll ever comment on because it's the only one I've ever seen. I'm very careful about that. When I'm insulting a method, I have no idea who teaches it. And when I talk about, and I'm not targeting any one method, I'm targeting a whole sort of a thought process, a whole style. Okay, so I'm very careful about that. very careful. Um, yeah, I would, if I, like lots of people send me, people have done duets with me, insulting my methods and that, and they say, oh, what do you think of this? Why would I, why would I do that? That's not me. That's not my style at all. So yeah, why would I do that? And by the way, that's the highest form of compliments. If I'm threatening other people, so they start trashing me, that means I'm shaking them up. It's good stuff. So bring it on. The only reason I know that happens is other people tell me. Okay. I'm super aware of what I do not embarrass my teens. Yeah, you never, ever, ever embarrass your teens. And I never embarrass my kids in front of their friends. Like if they did something I didn't like, I would have, if we were out somewhere around their friends, I would have said, we'll discuss it later. There's no way I would embarrass them in front of their friends. I had a friend once years ago. We were all in grade 7, and there was a few of us around, and we were like, we're not doing anything. We were just standing on a street corner waiting to cross the street, and her mother drove up, and she was younger. I think she was a little bit like hyperactive, let's say. And her mother drove up and said, you're acting like, and she called us a name. You're acting like we're just standing waiting to cross the street. And she told us we were like, you know what? Standing there waiting for men to come along. Like we were 12. I'll never forget that. I thought, and her daughter just looked humiliated. Why would you do that to your kid? My mother in a million years wouldn't have done anything like that. Well, she wouldn't have called us that name in the first place, but to humiliate your kids like that, oh, it was awful. It stuck with me. How would you respond if a young child pointed out and embarrassed someone else in public? Well, how old are they? Were they young enough that they didn't know? You know what I mean? Or were they pointed out and you just, well, for one thing, I told my kids you never point because I consider pointing rude. You can point at the sky, but yet pointing at people is rude. So I told my kids never point. I did that. And then if they had a question, and they would sometimes when they were really little, go up and say, oh, why are you in a chair? Like, why is your chair on wheels or something? And I'd say, sorry about that. And I said, I'll explain it to them later. But usually people would understand, say, oh, the reason is my legs don't work, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. But if they did it in malice, oh boy, I'd be after my kids when we got home. They wouldn't be doing that again. Yeah, that would, because they were they respected me, and they would have been really embarrassed if I came after them after that. Like, you know what I mean? Disciplining. They didn't like me disciplining them because they wanted to please me when they were little. And then when they were teenagers, they just didn't want to disappoint me. So yeah. What's wrong with someone? Well, I don't know the situation, so I can't really comment on that. That mother did have her own issues. She was a beautiful woman, like very vain. Just her looks were everything. And I don't think she ever should have had kids. You know, one of those, just all about her. Everything was about her. But yeah, I thought that was awful. Yeah, pointing is rude, pointing. Even when my kids were little, I'd say, no, we don't point at people. Also, I started talking to my kids when they were really little. I showed them pictures, whatever. Here's a black person, here's a Chinese person, and we're all the same. I sort of hid all that stuff before they even were out in the world. And some people marry the same sex, like sometimes 2 women get married, sometimes 2 men get married. I sort of tried to cover all those bases before they were even out there in the world. You know what I mean? Like, and some people wear, like, I don't know, the covers on burqas. I can't even remember what they're called. I always say it the wrong. I don't want to insult anyone, but yeah, some people wear that, and that's beautiful in that culture. Some people did it. So I really worked hard to teach my children that differences weren't really that different. It's just they're just not like you, and that's fine. Not everyone has to be like you, because we don't know if we're right or wrong, and who cares anyway? It's not about being right and wrong. So I tried to address all that stuff before they were even out there. Does that make sense? Can I get some likes on that? I think you should be showing pictures of all different colors of skin, different disabilities, different sexual preferences, like, trans and all that. I think that's really important. I taught my kids all that stuff. And a lot of people were quite horrified by this, but my kids knew all about that stuff. Like they would talk about it. Oh, mom has 2 friends. They're 2 women who are married. And this is in Australia. They weren't quite as open-minded over there when I first moved there. Oh, sorry about that. And but yeah, and people were quite, why would you do that? You know, uh, no, I don't know that number. Never mind. But yeah, does that make sense though? I this, I talked about a temper, but one thing that I really don't like in people is my way or the highway. I'll give you a good example of this. I'm vegan. I'm also a gluten-free health food vegan, so you can imagine. But then people say, "Oh, well, I guess you don't like people who eat meat," and I'm like, I don't know any other vegans. Like as if what that says to me is, so you think I think my way's the only way? Like I was insulted by that. Like they didn't know me though. So, but you see what I'm saying? Like just because you love something and it works for you, it doesn't mean that it's for anybody else. And I taught my kids that they're both very non-judgmental, open-minded, not the least bit biased or anything. Whatever you are is great, whatever, as long as you're not hurting other people. So that was very important to me because I was raised like that. And I was raised like that back in the 60s when it was not common to raise people like that. But yeah, yeah. You know what I think? I think, wouldn't we all be like one? I've got a few sayings that people get offended by, but just because I'm so offended by how bigotry is still happening, like I just don't get it. But wouldn't we all come together as the human race if we were invaded by aliens? Would probably be the best thing for us. Like we would all be one. We would all be together. We wouldn't care about anything else, right? Wouldn't that be great? No, I don't want to be invaded, but you get what I'm saying. So I was really intent on that with my kids, and neither one of them have the least bit judgment or anything. I noticed that when I was vegan, yeah, being vegan, and whenever someone, like, okay, the other night, my daughter's wedding, we went out to this beautiful place afterwards, and everyone else was eating all this meat and everything, and I was just, and chicken, and I was just sitting there enjoying it. They all know me, so they know. And I was just enjoying watching them enjoy it. Why would I? It's none of my business. And just because I don't want to eat it doesn't mean that they, yeah. But you know, vegans get a bad rap because I think a lot of people went vegan just so they could be self-righteous. And so I don't even think they care about being vegan. It's just something to make them, it's insecure people think their way's the only way, right? They need that confirmation bias. Please validate me, validate. I don't need validation. I just eat. I eat because I like the way I look and feel. I eat because of that. It's the only reason I eat the way I do, just because I like the way I look and feel. I'm very into fitness. And that's the only reason. You could sit right beside, I'd actually love it if you'd get a bunch of ribs and I just sit there drooling over them. Because I remember what that tasted like. I loved it. But I don't eat that way. I eat by how I look and feel, not by taste. So yeah, but yeah, don't judge other people. What do you know? You don't know them. You're not them. Okay. My toddler's, oh, he's 4. He's not a toddler. Toddler's 1 and a 2-year-old. A 3 and a 4-year-old's preschooler. Almost never plays alone. He always stands, in my book, by the way, the preschool stuff. He always stands next to me. I'm really annoyed. Well, what do you do about it? Like, what I mean is, does it annoy you say, look, go play? Like when my kids were that age, I would have just said, scram. I'm writing to grandma. I used to write to my mom every day because she lived in Canada. I lived in Australia. So I would just say, scram. That's what my mom used to say. I'm busy doing something. Scram. Oh, okay. You know, like, why are you afraid to say, go find something to do? So long as you're really close with your kids and they know they're loved, I always said, I'm writing to grandma. Go find something to do. Okay, my husband is sugar-free, gluten-free, healthy person. He judges me big time. That's on you guys, right? I don't care what anyone does. I don't care. Whoever's with me, I don't care what they're eating. I don't care. It's none of my business. Plus, I think I'm radical. I go to the gym every day. I'm not into alcohol, gluten-free, health food, vegan. Like, that's weird. Like, it's not like I think that's the way to do it. It's just, it makes me feel, I'm 62 years old and I'm in for longevity at this point. Plus, I feel great. I've got tons of energy for the most part. So I do what makes me feel good. But you do you. Like, you know, the only thing that I have no tolerance for around me is smoking, like, because I've got asthma and I can't handle that. But that watching someone eat leg of lamb is not going to hurt me. So Yeah, like neither of my kids are vegan. My daughter was for 7 years, but she just was craving meat. And if I ever start craving meat, I'll probably eat it. You're a year older than me. So yeah, I'll be 63 in October. Aren't the 60s wonderful? My 50s, I put on 40 pounds with menopause. And then when menopause was ending, I lost all that weight and I just feel fantastic. But I didn't have the only symptom I had in menopause. I'm sorry I'm going on about this, but I lost half my hair, but I had 4 times more than I needed. So I was thrilled about that. All the hair on my arms and legs fell off. And so did all the 40 pounds. My 60s are like, yes, thank you. Oh, it's great. Okay, I'm going to get going because I'm rambling on about myself. How self-involved can you get? Anyway, I'm just going to do another parenting questions because I want to end on your turn, not on mine. Why am I talking about myself here? Jeez, Lisa. I save all this for my personal channel. I just ramble on because that's my journal for my future grandkids. I want to see I want them to see what Granny was like. Or just remember me if they're too young, whatever. My 3-year-old always does the opposite. He always wants to get his own way, very stubborn. Okay, 3-year-old, at 3, they usually find their power. And that just says to me that he's the leader, you're not, and he knows it. That's all. Work on your leadership skills. I have a whole course on how to be a leader. It's up in the link above if you're interested. 5 weeks, teaches you everything, how to become a leader. And, but yeah, so yeah, he just knows he's the leader. That's all it is. He's fighting you. Like my kids, I was already leading them when they were really little, but it's so passive. Like it's just when mom says something, she means it. That's it. Because I don't like I have those 5 tips with toddlers. They kind of learned in the toddler years. Mom knew what she was doing. By the time they hit 3, they were getting real easy. 3.5, they were self-disciplining. 3.5 to 4, they were self-disciplining. Never did anything. They were just so easy. Yeah, anyone can learn this though. It's just tips and skills along the way. It's a skill. It's a learned skill. I think I was born with it, but I've taught it. It's a teachable skill. Some stuff isn't. Some stuff is hard to learn, but this, no, anyone can learn this stuff. Anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow.